Everyone, it's Don from Crux Terminatus, and today we're going to have a lesson on success through adversity. So, this is the chapter standard for the Souls of Brathnor chapter, and yeah, it didn't go as planned, I think is probably the best way of saying that. First things first, it's one of those blue plastic models that I got from Conquest magazine, and for some reason, the primer just doesn't really want to stick to it, but primed it white. It put a single strip of masking tape down, then painted the Wild Rider red, and then as you can see, I'm trying to effectively cut out a mask from the masking tape to keep that bit the right colours, and then I'm going to paint the rest of the banner. But as you can see, it's just not going very well. So I got a bottle of this from my mate Roddy. Hi Roddy. It's liquid mask. It's Humbrol liquid mask, and I hadn't really used it, but I thought I'd give it a bash. One thing I do realise is that it kills brushes, so I'm using a toothpick to put it on. It doesn't go well. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't go well. It looks pretty funky. I might use it for a paint in the future, but I tried to seal the side of the masking tape with it as well. So at this point in my head, I'm thinking it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic. This is definitely going to work exactly how I think it's going to work. So it doesn't. Spoiler alert! It doesn't. Anyway, so I prime the rest of it black because obviously the Incubi Darkness for the souls goes over the over black primer. So I'm just priming it here black, and I'm going to come in with some Incubi Darkness and paint the cloth. So that's it going on there. You can see it's quite hard to see actually in the camera, I guess, but you can see it going on. That's me doing the sort of bottom part of it at the moment and down the side. It's difficult, this one. It's obviously a moulded sculpt, so that it's got like waves in it. They're very difficult to pick out with the airbrush. I try my best, but it doesn't really go that well. So in the end, I have to highlight it with a brush, but that happens actually much later on in the process than you would expect. But I give it a bash anyway, and that's how it's looking so far. The next step is to try and take off the masking stuff, and as you can see, I don't know. Obviously, I didn't put it on properly or neatly enough or whatever because it started taking paint off the sides. As you can see, it's at this point I am genuinely thinking, oh, I'm not going to bother recording any more of this because it's definitely not a video. I wouldn't embarrass myself by putting it on there. However, my mistakes could save you some drama. So I decide that didn't work. So I'm going to have to redo that again. So I put more of the liquid mask on, and I'm trying to get it in between the individual leaves of the laurel wreath with the point of the toothpick, which is very. The liquid wants to run, so it's very difficult to get it to stay where you want it to stay. And you can see there's a bit of the bottom of the sort of bit where you would write the name. So anyway, I decide that I'm gonna just go over that, and I'll just paint it with a brush as normal. The airbrush method, it just wasn't working out. So I go over the laurel wreaths with Incubi Darkness because at the moment they're orange, and I just know that it's not the green's not going to take to that very well. So okay, this is like the third attempt I think at this point in time, and as I say, I was just filming this now for my own benefit, not for anyone else's, because I thought it's just such a train wreck. And I think there's a recurring theme throughout this video, right? You'll see I just keep trying things and trying things and trying things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But that's the mask, and as you can see, I'm just like, oh my god, I have to do this again. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to paint it the best I can, and it'll work out fine. So I decided to start painting the laurel wreath, and I'm just using just a bog standard green over the Incubi Darkness, and I'm picking out all the individual leaves. And I noticed that there's a bit of colour and consistency with the gaps or the recesses between the leaves. So I start to highlight the leaves, but I also put a green wash in between the leaves just to make the lighter parts stand out. And as you can see when the camera's at this angle, there's still a tint of orange in between the leaves. If you look at the ones at the top, you can still see it. So I have to be very careful and paint that with a brush. So I paint it with the brush and then I go in with the green wash and just I'm trying to hide 100 sins with that wash, and more or less it works. So a much brighter green to highlight the individual leaves, and then in the end, I mix that green, which is already quite light, with some white, and I paint the very tips of the laurel wreath leaves. It looks okay. It's not great, but it is what it is. It's fine. Um, I think at the moment, because this is like the focus of what you can see at the moment, it doesn't look great. But when you see it all, when it's finished, it kind of merges in and it's fine. It's absolutely fine. So the next thing to do is paint the main nameplate. Now, this is important. Okay, this is important. Painting letters is difficult. And what I did was I got a pencil out and I thought, right, that's the kind of spacing that I want to go for. And right, okay, that's fine. Except it wasn't fine. And if you look, there's a big gap between the skull, underneath where the skull sits. And I'm like, how did I not see that? Or why did I not notice that? So anyway, I think I decide I'm just going to go for it because it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It really isn't. But anyway, I wrote down the what I wanted to have on the banner, so I had a sort of reference to copy, and I did all the sort of vertical lines first, of all the letters, and then sort of put the bits across or the circles or whatever. And I don't know why, but this was much harder than getting a nameplate on a pauldron. Weird. You would think it'd be a lot easier because it's a much bigger space, but in actual fact, you'll notice through this that I paint this about, I don't know, 6 different times. Every time I look at it, I think that'll do, and then I think no, it won't, and I keep going back, and even at the very last second, um, the last image you're going to see before you see it on the turntable, you'll notice that I've repainted it again. So every so often I think, well, that's the right letter R or the right letter A, so that's fine, and I'll leave that, but I'll fill in the rest. I think my biggest issue was the fact that it wasn't even, despite the fact that I tried to map it out with a pencil, it still wasn't even, and I keep going in, so I'll change that letter, then I'll change that letter. I was getting really hacked off at this point in time. As I say, I'm amazed that I kept the video camera running, to be honest, because I was just like, nope, no one's ever going to see this. This will be my dirty secret. Then I started doing the things that I kind of enjoy, which was, trying to write the script. And I've started to introduce more sort of up and down motion as I'm doing scripting now, just to make it look more realistic. Usually I sort of horizontal lines, but I was trying to do more. And, oh, what a surprise, I'm not happy with the lettering, so I'm going in and I've got the same bone colour and I'm trying to like use it as Tipex, for anyone of my generation who knows what Tipex is. Every so often I just get so frustrated with the letter and I leave it and I go and try and paint another detail just to try and keep myself motivated. I painted the reds and the yellow on the bottom, and then I have to paint it white because the incubi darkness just sucks the brightness out of the paint. So I have to go back, paint those bits white, and then paint the colours again. But the gold was fun. I enjoy the gold. It's retributor armor. Um, you know, Lots of people have like super complicated recipes for gold, and they use all sorts of different manufacturers, different paints. Pretty much, I use retributor armor, and I put a wash on the end of it, and for the return on investment in terms of time, it's absolutely fine. painted the stars on the background of the banner white. I just thought there was a lot of colours going on there, and I didn't really want to do anything too crazy. I didn't want to over gold the model either, so I used that copper colour. What's it called? It's called hash shut copper, hash nut copper. So I did the sort of standard Brader parts with that. Then I did just a sepia wash over the gold just to bring out those details. It's fine, nothing special. But if you notice that the writing on the thing there, last second, I'm like, no, I can't have this. This is awful. So I redo that, and this is what the finished article looks like. I didn't bother showing you me painting the marine. It's exactly standard marine, nothing special there. But I used a black panel with gold writing on the bottom right as we look at it, and I painted an aquila on there as well. Maybe the camera doesn't pick that out very well, but it actually looks pretty sweet. Quite like that. Overall, it is what it is. It was an experiment, and I've learned that my new attitude of that'll do does actually still hold up, because that'll do. It's just you have to plan the writing on the sort of nameplate part. You have to plan that really carefully, and don't accept anything less than you're happy with, because to be honest, you'll constantly look at that and go, this is a lot of rubbish. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you'd love to comment or say anything, shout abuse, hurl money. Oh yeah, thanks to my Patreons. Only joking, I don't have Patreons. I'm not good enough. So anyway, love you all. Cheers. Bye bye.